The most important position in Superflex Dynasty leagues, obviously, is quarterback. So we're going to rank the top 24 quarterbacks going into the NFL season, which is getting oh so close. I can almost smell the football. What do footballs smell like? Leather?
Leather, dirt.
I can almost smell the leather. Do us a huge favor. Make sure you have liked the video. Make sure you are also subscribed. If you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, we're going to bring you all kinds of Dynasty content all season long, all into the offseason, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure if you want one of your teams, one of your Dynasty teams graded by these three nincompoops, make sure you head over to flockfantasy.com. When you sign up with code domain, you not only get 30% off, but if you select the Mother Flocker tier, we will video review one of your teams. You'll get into one of our listener leagues with us as well, and you get access to all the rankings, articles, everything that site has to offer. So make sure you're heading over there and doing that. We really appreciate it, and it supports us a ton. Top 24 Dynasty QBs. Starting in the S tier, we're going to have Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen. There should be no surprises here. We're going to put Patrick Mahomes at number one because Patrick Mahomes, the 2, the 3, sometimes that'll shuffle around. Patrick Mahomes reigns supreme at the top of this tier and at the top of the QB rankings always. He is the best quarterback in the NFL. He is one of the best quarterbacks ever to step foot on the field in the NFL, and he's going to continue to be that as long as he is in the NFL. That's probably going to be quite a long time. When you couple the production, when you couple the greatness, the Super Bowls, there's no reason ever to put anybody besides Patrick Mahomes at the top of this tier right now. Jalen Hurts has climbed up to second after last season when there were maybe potentially 3 guys on a podcast telling you to not buy Jalen Hurts. We were wrong about that. Jalen Hurts, absolutely deserving of being here. He's on a monster contract now, but team friendly. So it means the Eagles can continue to build around him. He has one of the best sets of weapons in the entire league. And because of that, we are going to give him the slight edge, even though in the same tier. That's the main reason we're going to give him the slight edge over Josh Allen in terms of how we're arranging these guys. He's playing with Devonta Smith. He's playing with A.J. Brown. He's playing with Dallas Goedert. He's playing with Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift. I think that you could soundly make this argument now that Jalen Hurts is deserving of being at 2. And then Josh Allen at 3. You know Josh Allen. He with the rushing upside and as dynamic of a playmaker as he is, he's absolutely going to be at the top of any fantasy football quarterback list. There's no exception here. He's going to continue to provide on the ground. He's going to continue to provide through the passing game. Now, the big question for Josh Allen is, number one, can the Bills get him at least a few more better weapons? I don't think they're doing that for him. The other thing is, will Josh Allen put together a healthy season, and will he cut back on his turnovers this year? Those are 2 questions we have for Josh Allen. Even with those concerns, he is, you could make the argument, the best fantasy asset. I mean, you could make that argument and we wouldn't, think you were dumb for it. So these 3 guys, if you're drafting 1, 2, or 3 in a dynasty startup, you are thrilled to get one of these guys to anchor your dynasty team. And moving down to the A tier now, we've got Joe Burrow.
Yeah, so with Joe Burrow, this guy was another person that we kind of missed on last year for a lot of the offseason. We were discouraging taking him 4th overall in dynasty startups, and we were just wrong. One of the biggest cases we had against Joe Burrow was that he lacked not rushing upside, but rushing competency or ability, and he blew us out of the water when it came to what he did his first 2 seasons. He, in his 3rd season, 76 attempts, 259 rushing yards for 5 rushing touchdowns. So that means that they're using him in QB sneaks, they're using him in the red zone, on 3rd and short, 4th and short, anything like that, and he's pretty mobile as well. So that's encouraging for us to see. We still don't think that he has the upside of the top 3 guys, obviously, which is why we have him the tier below, but Joe Burrow is absolutely a cornerstone asset, incredibly valuable, a guy that you're going to want to have on your roster for a long, long time. And then right behind him is going to be Justin Herbert. I think you could flip-flop these guys however you want. I think really, the reason we have Burrow over Herbert right now is because they're so close in value. We're just taking the one that had a better season last year. And Joe Burrow, by far, had a better season than Justin Herbert last season. And while we're believers in Herbert going into this year and really for the foreseeable future, I think he's gonna do well in this new offense. You can have your own opinion on Kellen Moore. I have my own personal opinion on Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator, but I don't think he will keep Justin Herbert from slinging the ball and doing what he does best, which Joe Lombardi just decided to not let Herbert throw the ball last year and take shots downfield. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about Herbert's weapons. They obviously got Quentin Johnston. He's going to get a long-term deal, and we're really excited about what he's going to do.
You've got the B tier here.
So in the B tier, you touched briefly on rushing upside. We're really getting into the guys with rushing upside. Starting at the top, though, is someone who excels in passing, and that is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence last year was 6th in true passer rating. He was 7th in money throws, so a pass requiring exceptional skill or athleticism. The guy is incredible when it comes to passing the ball, when it comes to reading NFL defense, and there's a reason that he was heralded as one of the best QB prospects ever. On top of that, like I said, rushing upside. Trevor Lawrence had 5 rushing touchdowns last year, which was good for 5th in the NFL. And for a guy who's excelling that much in the passing game, that really adds a lot of value in fantasy. He also had 291 rushing yards, so, not too shabby there. But really, that's nothing compared to the next guy being Lamar Jackson. Even getting hurt last season, Lamar Jackson finished 3rd in the NFL among QBs with 764 rushing yards, and he had 68.7 rushing yards per game, which was 2nd in the NFL. And people are down on Lamar Jackson. They say he's a bad passer. He's not a good quarterback. People still make the Lamar running back jokes, but he's a good quarterback, and really in his career, he's lacked weapons. Well, what did the Ravens do this year? Not only did they get Greg Roman out of there and hire Todd Monken, they also brought in Odell Beckham, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman is healthy. Obviously, he still has Mark Andrews, and he has J.K. Dobbins back this year too. So it's only up from here in our eyes for Lamar Jackson. And the next guy on our list, unfortunately, things got a little bit worse for, and that's Kyler Murray. Before I get into Kyler Murray's situation, he had 418 rush yards last year, 7th in the NFL, 7th in rushing yards per game, also with 38 yards. However, DeAndre Hopkins has left. Zach Ertz is getting old. And really, the Cardinals are a rough situation next year, and Kyler might even miss the entire season. But still absolutely deserves to be ranked this highly.
Yeah, absolutely. In the C tier, we're going to start with Deshaun Watson. Look, you know the drill. Deshaun Watson, before all of the off-the-field issues that he had, was a perennial top 5 quarterback in fantasy football, consistently in the top 5. And the question remains, can Deshaun get back to that form? Because if he can, honestly, he deserves to be ranked higher than this. I think it's at least fair to pose the question, can he do it? And it is also fair to have suspicion as to whether he can or not. You saw in the last couple games of last season, he was getting a little bit better and a little bit more comfortable after missing that much time. And again, when you're missing that much time from the NFL, we make this argument with Calvin Ridley from the receiving standpoint as well. There's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be some rust. There's going to be some adjustments getting back to the game. But like I said, he had games of 17 and 21 and 19 in his last 5 games. So we do think, and that included 2 QB1 finishes. So we do think that Deshaun Watson can get back to that form. We're not going to bake that into where we rank him yet because we want to see that before we give him that honor. But like I said, we all know his upside.
9th isn't too shabby anyways.
It's not. And honestly, I think we're being even a little bit generous here. Yeah. We're also being generous with Anthony Richardson. And Anthony Richardson, obviously we have nothing to do with the Colts and we don't like them. And we, I
can smell the comments already.
Yeah. You guys are too biased, which we have him at what? 10?
10th.
That's pretty much where he is in Dynasty, on Keep Trade Cut, and Underdog for best ball. So no, we're not biased on Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, everybody knows the drill. He is the most athletic quarterback prospect ever to step foot on an NFL field, period. He is the biggest freak, athletic freak, when you're talking about this combination of size, when you're talking about the combination of athleticism and speed and elusiveness. I mean, Anthony Richardson can be really special. We're going to rank him here for that reason. Obviously, Anthony Richardson, we will be the first to acknowledge he has plenty of questions. We totally understand that. There are questions about his accuracy. There's questions about his footwork. There's questions about his decision-making. We get that. However, the dude started 1 season at Florida. What he needs is time. More than anything, what he needs is time. The Colts know that, and because of that, they are going to put him on the field this year. As a result of that, he is going to produce on the ground. His dynasty value is going to at least maintain because of what he does on the ground this year as the starting quarterback in his first year. People will not only give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a rookie, but they'll also give him the benefit of the doubt because he has such incredible rushing talent. We've seen this with another quarterback, and the other quarterback we've seen this with is Justin Fields. Rounding out this tier, and with Justin Fields, obviously we have come on this channel and we've told you that we don't necessarily like Justin Fields as a dynasty asset. look, we understand that people agree with us. We get it. We have done a lot of research into Justin Fields, and quite frankly, we don't like what we see in terms of predictive analysis here. When you're looking at the guys he lines up with, when you're looking at some of the other guys who have mimicked his efficiency metrics through the first 2 years of their career, it's not great. That being said, the dude rushed for 1,000 yards last year. You can't rank him low. You can only rank him so low. Honestly, if he could pass the ball, he'd probably be in the S tier. He probably would be. But he hasn't passed the ball yet. And Bears fans, look, I'm not even going to say I love you because I don't actually. Like you guys terrorize us in the comments. I think this is being generous for Justin Fields. We love Justin Fields as a player. We love watching him. We love watching him run the ball. He is so dynamic as a playmaker. It's a blast to watch. We are giving Anthony Richardson the nod over him because at least Anthony Richardson, like people want to make the argument, well, why do you say this about Fields and not Anthony Richardson? Anthony Richardson has not yet played an NFL game. So
he hasn't proven that he's bad yet.
And if he does,
Justin Fields has.
If he does, even as Colts fans, we will be the first to tell you that Anthony Richardson should be faded in Dynasty. Until then, let's wait it out. All right, moving down to the D tier here.
So on the D tier, we're going to start here with Bryce Young. And Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, right on Bryce's tail. There is not a 1-round gap in Dynasty startups between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. There should not.
Yes.
There absolutely should not. Like, is this a joke? I understand that the entire pre-draft process, we were screaming, take Bryce Young over Stroud. We were screaming Bryce Young from a draft perspective that Bryce Young was going to go over CJ Stroud and that it wasn't a question from a talent perspective. Bryce Young was better than CJ Stroud. This does not directly translate to fantasy points. This should not directly translate to dynasty value. CJ Stroud is debatably, offensively, maybe even in a better situation going into his first year.
Yeah.
And if I were to bet, I would bet that CJ Stroud is going to score more fantasy points than Bryce Young because he has no measurable concerns and he has no production concerns going into the NFL. Look, why do people keep saying that CJ Stroud doesn't have rushing upside or even rushing capability? He is incredibly mobile. Did you watch literally the last game that he played against Georgia?
It's a weird argument. Like you're
makes
clearly
no
box
sense.
score reading because the dude can move. Like I wouldn't say he's a rushing quarterback, but he has some rushing upside in terms of that rushing. If Joe Burrow if Joe Burrow has rushing upside, CJ Stroud does too.
CJ Stroud has twice that.
If you want to read the box scores in that game, he had 34 rushing yards, and that includes college
sacks.
football includes sacks.
Yeah.
So really, he probably had 50 or 60.
I mean, watch
that's
literally
pretty
just
good.
watch the tape.
Watch Stroud's last drive in that game and tell me that he isn't capable of running the ball.
Great point. CJ Stroud is such a buy low right now in Dynasty. I'm taking him in the 4th round.
Yep.
Everywhere. Yep. It's awesome.
Now, I am a huge fan of Bryce Young. This kind of turned into CJ Stroud before Bryce Young. But with Bryce Young, I think he's a phenomenal NFL quarterback. I have too many questions right now with him from a fantasy perspective going into this season. I am borderline saying that Bryce Young may be a sell in Dynasty right now and just fade him and go get Stroud. I think I have 3 or 4 shares of Stroud right now. I have none of Bryce Young. I don't like his price. I don't like the gap right now. I'm taking Stroud all day. Tua Tagovailoa coming after Bryce and Stroud. This guy, unlike the 2 rookies, has actually proven himself, but he's also proven that he's, kind of gets some concussions as well. And obviously you heard the big news that, of course, he considered retirement after getting 3 concussions in a single season. If he didn't consider retirement, I would think he has a problem. But with him, you can't deny his production, his passing ability, the fact that he's tied to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill long term. He has every single weapon around him possible that's going to make him succeed in the passing game. Doesn't have rushing upside, and I hope he doesn't have rushing upside. I don't want to see him passing that line of scrimmage ever, but again, he's such a dynamic passer, and it was a lot of fun to watch him take those steps with Mike McDaniel last year. Then Daniel Jones at the back end of this tier. I think this is a guy where you could put him higher than Tua, and I'd be comfortable with it. He's got the 4-year deal that everyone's excited about. We're excited about. I think all of us really reaped the benefits of investing in him last season, knowing that he couldn't really get any lower than he was at that point. I mean, some of us were getting him for seconds. And now, the reason we invested in him is because of his ability to run the ball. And yes, he has limitations as a passer, but Brian Dable, I think, has proven in one season that he is a at least top 12 coach in the NFL. And seeing how he just completely flipped the script in New York and turned them into even potential contenders this season really speaks volume to his ability in developing quarterbacks, developing offenses. And I don't think they're going to stop utilizing Daniel Jones the way they have with him last season. He may take a step up as a passer, and if he takes a little step back in the running game, that'll be okay, because I think he could get better this year, even with the limited receiving weapons there.
Absolutely. You're dropping down to the E tier here.
Cool. Yeah, let's start to speed this up at the end. And we got Dak Prescott. We did a video on Dak versus Daniel Jones, and some of you might be wondering, why is Dak lower? Well, to put it shortly, Dak doesn't have rushing upside at this point in his career. He only has 2 years left of his 4-year deal, making the same amount as Daniel Jones, and his weapons aren't very good anymore. I mean, he's losing players now. I lost Dalton Schultz, Noah Brown, etc. Zeke Elliott even. Below him, though, we have Mr. Unlimited, who is quite limited at this point in his career. We saw last year he had the lowest rushing, really, in his last 2 years of his entire career. He used to put up 300 to 500 yards every year. Last year, 277 and only 3 rushing touchdowns. Russ has lost his ability to extend plays the way he used to, and really he's a question mark as to whether he'll produce in the passing game, and we hope to see him come back and make a big impact with Sean Payton in the Broncos offense. But last we have Geno, and Geno is the opposite of these other two, a rising star last year, playing like a top 10 quarterback, coming out of nowhere. And more of the same could be expected this year from Geno Smith. The offense in Seattle's only gotten better, adding Zach Charbonnet and JSN. And at his age, he still has some serious dynasty value. So someone that we really like, I think a little bit more than the dynasty community, and we're excited to see him play this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the F tier, we're going to start with Kirk Cousins. Look, Kirk Cousins is what he is. He's on the new quarterback Netflix series. I haven't seen that yet, but
I watched the first episode last night.
Really?
It was phenomenal.
Really?
You're gonna.
I've heard it's worse. It's Hard Knocks, but worse.
No.
Right.
I thought it was way better.
I'll probably
I
like
thought
it.
Hard Knocks was more cringe than this.
Anyways, I've been seeing a lot of Kirk Cousins tweets today about that. Kirk Cousins, look, he's got a really, really good weapon group when you think about it. And honestly, he could have a really good weapon group with just Justin Jefferson, because Justin Jefferson's that good. But now he also has TJ Hawkinson, and he has Jordan Addison, a guy that I'm personally super high on going into this year. And when you think about those weapons in the passing game, Alexander Madison, he's like, oh, he's all right in the running game. But when you think about his weapons alone, I mean, it's going to prop him up to probably perform as a high-end quarterback too. And that's just what Kirk Cousins is. It's always what he has been. He's going to continue to be that. He's going to continue to wear the chains on the plane, and then they're going to get blown out by 40 the next game. Like, that's just what you're getting with Kirk Cousins in the Vikings. Like, it just is. But he's a valuable asset in fantasy because he does have such good weapons, and because he does consistently produce at a high-end quarterback 2 level. And then Jordan Love. And Jordan Love, I'm not going to lie, I've warmed up a little bit to Jordan Love, mainly because Franchise Guy told me to warm up a little bit to Jordan Love. I have notoriously trashed him. I'm not going to trash him today. I'm going to say this. Him being paired with Aaron Jones, I think, is going to help him a lot. In his first year, I think Aaron Jones is going to be the X factor in that offense. But also some rising stars in Christian Watson, who hopefully will continue to progress in the consistency of his production in fantasy. Then you also have Jaden Reed, a guy that we're super duper high on, a guy that's going to play a lot in the slot, whether you think he is or not. I think you got guys like Luke Musgrave there, Romeo Doubs. I'm not buying the Romeo Doubs hype, but with the weapons, with him sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, hopefully going into a decent situation for a quarterback in his first year, otherwise known as a rookie quarterback. I mean, this is essentially his rookie season, and if you argue that, I really don't know what to tell you. He's going into a fairly good situation. And our last tier is going to start with Brock Purdy, who, by the way, I probably would move Purdy up a tier.
I think I would as well.
Simon got the win on this one. So
yeah,
we'll keep it down.
That's fine. We don't have enough time to have a extended discussion about this, but I think the thing is Purdy did enough last season to really prove himself, and I personally think solidify himself as the long-term starter in San Francisco. Does that mean he starts week 1, day 1 this year? I don't know. Maybe not because of his injury, but I think it's his job to lose, as George Kittle would say. And look, his averaging over 19 points per game for a stretch there at the end of the season shows that he does have some fantasy upside as well. And, young on his rookie deal. Then I think I'm going to add this guy in here because at some point you have to listen to the Dynasty community. If you think a guy is valued too low and you start buying him, but he keeps falling and falling, you do have to listen. This is significantly low for Trey Lance. I'm going to put him right behind Brock Purdy because he does still have top 3 draft capital on his rookie deal. And he will, I repeat, he will get another opportunity at some point. I am buying Trey Lance now to sell him later because it does not take much for Trey Lance to do in training camp at the start of the season for people to overpay for him because of his rushing upside and because of what they think he can do. I think he is rusted out. He hasn't played since 2019, a complete season. I don't think he'll ever be good in the NFL. I'm buying him now because of what I can sell him for in the future. He should not be off of our top 24 rankings board. Then Jared Goff, going right after him, is Jared Goff. We all know who he is. The Rams traded him. He's had a success for the Detroit Lions, plenty of weapons around him. He's probably going to have a high-end QB2 season this year. The future for him is up in the air, and it always will be. I think everyone knows what his limitations are. Then Matt Stafford, we would have him higher on this list if it weren't for the neck concerns, neck injuries that we've heard about. Obviously, Pac-Man Jones, Pat McAfee talking about it, and a very similar potential injury that like what Peyton Manning had in 2011 that could really, at any point sideline him for the rest of the season and end his career. Stafford is more banged up than people think, but we still know what his upside is in that LA offense if he does play the entire season this year. Then you got Kenny Pickett, who I think we all believe has limited fantasy upside, but I think his stock's going to go up this season, and it's worth investing in him. He may be one of the best values at the quarterback position that you can get right now in Dynasty going into this year because I think he's going to take a significant step up. Then Will Levis, early second-round draft capital, could have gone in the first round. The Colts would have taken him at the 104 if the Titans had sniped him at the 103. I think we dodged a bullet there, but I think that shows what Levis's upside could be in the NFL. He's got rushing upside. He can sling the ball. Yeah, he doesn't look good right now, but he's a freaking rookie. What do you expect? I think Tennessee's going to take it easy with him. They're not going to ask much of him. If he starts this year, they're going to run the ball a lot, probably do some RPOs, and I think he could put up some fantasy points for you as well.
I love that we baited the Titans into drafting Will Levis. It's like my favorite prank of all time.
Actually, the Texans saved our butts. But
Well, shout out Texans, even though I don't like you.
We love you.
I will say, buy Trey Lance at your own risk, in my opinion. I'm
Nathan went off script there.
I'm not touching him. I don't know what to think about the dude. Like
he's out of your top 24.
Where do I put him?
Wow.
Like, I don't know what to do with him.
I just don't say
I
his
have
name.
never even seen him play.
Yeah.
Like, and he's not, I don't know.
I know.
I watched one
This
game
is
of the 49ers, and it was the game he got hurt.
Yeah.
Look,
like,
I would be the first to tell you, I have been screaming for like 2 years now that I think Trey Lance is horrible.
your voice is probably gone.
Yep.
It literally is. But again,
Okay.
can't get over
Well,
what
you're taking
people
the
are paying
Mason
for.
Dodd approach there, so we'll see if it pays off for you.
Yeah.
I personally I'm not afraid. Just tell you I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know how he hasn't already been named the starter for this year. It makes no sense to me.
He's just as risky as Stafford and Goff, like in my opinion. So
Yeah, I guess.
and
so.
Levis.
Yeah. All right, do us a huge favor. Make sure you press like on this video. It tells YouTube viewers that you liked it, and then it shows it to them, and then it helps us. So it's that easy. If you'd like the video, we really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. Really appreciate that. And make sure you're heading over to flockfantasy.com/domain. You use our code domain. You get a team review video from us if you select the Mother Flocker tier, and you get in a listener league with us as well. And you get all the rankings, Dynasty, Best Ball, 1QB, all the articles. I released an article yesterday. I feel like a writer. So you get all that at flockfantasy.com. Use our code domain. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you later.